Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast with your hosts, Jason Balin and Ian Horowitz.
Ian, what's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? I forgot that I was supposed to do the open, so I apologize.
All good, all good.
Well, Dan just got his delivery of Monsters, so I'm watching it go into the refrigerator, and he threw me off guard. But either way, I want to welcome everybody to the show. Jason's a touch under the weather, so I'll be running point here for the better part of the show. So either way, glad everyone can jump on today. We have a special guest today. He's been dropping a lot of good content recently, not only on real estate investing, but just everything that's going on in the marketplace with inflation, where to place money, taking debt, not taking debt, just a lot of good things overall. And it should be a good, fun show. So, Jay, you got anything? I know.
Yeah, I mean, listen. The best part about bringing in new guests in our sphere, I know a lot of the guests that we have are in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. A lot of local real estate investors that are concentrating investment, residential stuff, self-storage, commercial, private lending stuff that Ian and I obviously concentrate on. But it's always good to branch off and see what other successful real estate investors and other successful business owners are doing kind of throughout the country. And the best part about it is just see where people's stories are. We all come from very, very different backgrounds. We all had different resources, and it's great to see other successful, like-minded people. So let's just bring Mikey in and go from there. Mikey,
what's up, guys? Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, welcome to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. We'll just start off with just a real quick background of who Mikey is.
Oh, okay. Quick background. When I was 13, when I was a kid, I picked up a skateboard thinking it was going to be like everything else I did that was just for fun. Quickly became obsessed with it and tried to figure out how to make that my career. I somehow convinced companies to start paying me to, wear their product or ride their product, and then became a pro skateboarder for the next 15 years. So there's a dream come true, passion turned career. The challenge was I picked a career that I couldn't do forever. I had a short window in doing so, so I was constantly trying to figure out what was after skateboarding. And in the beginning, it was just basically saving all of my money, living like I was broke so that I can invest it into, I was investing in the markets, I was investing into storage units, I was lending, just trying to build passive income to protect myself. And then towards the later end of my career, the entrepreneurial bug hit. Started my first business in the craft beer industry. We had a lot of success with that. And then, 5 years later, started a company in the private equity real estate space.
Nice. And that's what I want to ask you. I find it so interesting. I've been following some of your stuff. I think I heard you way back. You're doing maybe Drama's podcast. And I was like, man, like early age, you had the notion, because like I was a fireman full time for the city of Baltimore up until just recently. And that's another career that's short lived, right? Like, professional athletes, people that put their lives on the line, they're short lived careers.
Right.
How did you know at like an early age? Like you said, you started skateboarding at 13, you go pro sometime thereafter. At what point did it hit you to say, hey man, I need to be diligent with my money because I can't do this forever? Like, did you have a good family background? Like, where did that all come from?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It was a kind of a combination of things. One, I'm an 80s baby, early 80s baby. And so, we were taught that if you don't go to college, you're not really going to make a lot of money. And I believe that. That was the first part. Two, I wasn't going to become a pro basketball player, a pro baseball player. I was moving into an industry that was really small and pros just didn't make a lot of money. And three, when I told my parents that I wasn't going to go to college and I was going to skateboard, they panicked. They were like, they were not stoked on it. And so in an effort to try to find some type of comfort for their kid, going into a potential future devastating move, they really pushed me to connect with the person who was managing their money. And he basically kind of stepped up and became my mentor from an early age and, helped me understand what the, whether you want to call it speed bumps or roadblocks that I was going to face as a pro athlete with a, limited run.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up as like an 80s baby. Like, we all came up around the same time. That's like, dude, if you didn't go to college, that was like the end of the world, right? Like,
Right.
Now it's, I think, probably, hopefully going towards the complete opposite. But like, I remember that coming out of high school, they're like, oh, where are you going to college? I'm like, what's college? Like, I don't want to do that, So, yeah, I mean, I guess lucky for you. And I'm guessing this money mentor that you had, obviously he was in tune to the marketplace of assets other than just the stock market, right? Like that's how you got involved in real estate.
Right. So I lucked out in this regard. I didn't know anything about the typical financial advisor. I knew nothing about money. Thankfully, I got plugged in with somebody who had also created, an alternative investment component to their business, which was a storage portfolio and then a lending portfolio. So, I had access through him, but yeah, man, it's just so different now, right? Like we have social media now. We have eyes on what is possible. Back then, your only means to learn was through school. And, school already didn't teach you about money. So it was just this abyss of nothingness. And I just had no clue how to get through it. And I just stumbled into a great mentor.
Did you follow the kind of the notion that a lot of real estate investors follow, where they start at lower end single family properties because that's just the price range they can afford, and they're trading obviously time for money? A lot of folks get into real estate or they want to get in with low money down. They get in and then they realize it's like, you know what? There's only so much money this $1,200 single family house can make me, right? So you trade the 1 unit for 4 unit and move up and up and up. Or were you, and I'll even say lucky enough to start with higher, better assets?
Right. The quick answer is I skipped that stage. I didn't take the normal kind of path that a real estate investor takes. But it wasn't designed, right? I didn't have this big concept of why don't I skip the stuff that's a little bit more challenging and move into something at scale? My whole thing was at the beginning, I wasn't making enough money, or I didn't have enough to invest in something big storage unit. Commercial was out of my ability. I just didn't have enough. So I was investing in, stocks, bonds, retirement plans, very conventional path. But I was building up a cash reserve or opportunity cash so that I could invest into something like storage once I had enough. And the only reason I did that and didn't go down the path of, building out my own, SFR portfolio was really because I wanted to be a pro skateboarder. I did not want to be a real estate investor at that time, at least actively. And so my viewpoint was, one, my passion and my greatest source of income and opportunity at that moment was skateboarding. So I wanted all of my attention going towards that path so that I could maximize the amount of money I was making. But I really wanted my money to work in real estate. And I just so had to have the, homie who was like, you want to get in on storage? So I was able to get into an asset class with other partners. I was able to invest a little bit less and participate in a great asset class.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of trouble that, a lot of people have trying to make that jump. And, when I got started, I was coming from broke fireman, just trying to scrape pennies together to buy a house and do all the dirty work on it. And I think people need to stop and say, okay, well, if I can make a lot of money with my high earning W-2 job, sometimes it's easier just to invest with guys like us or whoever in the marketplace, and then slowly get into it and say, okay, well, this is how Mikey does it. This is how Jason does it. All right, that makes sense to me. Now let me go try on my own, right? And just take those baby steps rather than going, oh, well, Mikey's got this badass storage deal. I'm just going to do it myself. And you end up in a lot of trouble,
Right. And I think it's sorry to kind of botch it, but I think it's important to say for anybody who wants to become a real estate investor, it's really good to figure out what you want to do first. If you want to be an active investor or if you want to be a passive investor. There's no right or wrong. It's just what is best for you. And I would say the third option, and this is what ended up happening with me, is I started off as a passive investor. My money was working in real estate. I got to see the deals. I got to get the updates. I got to educate myself. And then I eventually made a step into the active role. So there's a few options for you.
No, that's really, really good point, and kind of the opposite of what most people think, right? Because most people are like, I can't wait to get out of this dreaded job. They're making some money in real estate, and they continue to think that, well, hey, I'll just do more. Well, we can all attest that being a full-time real estate investor might not be exactly what people think it's all cracked up to be, right? Like you're not going out and hey, having fun doing a deal, maybe meeting a seller, doing this anymore. I mean, you're managing employees, you're raising your work, investor relations. I mean, there's so many higher ticket stuff that you're concentrating on than the actual deal to deal, flip this house TV series stuff that that everybody thinks that's what it is.
Right.
And I've shared this story with Ian before. Like one of the most successful investors that they used to deploy capital through us at our lending company that I ever came across were these two government. They both had decent paying jobs at the government, as much as obviously you can get there, and they probably had the highest net worth of anybody that I knew just because they were investing in deals side by side. They always had that 6-figure comfort zone job, and they enjoyed doing it. They weren't trying to get out of it. It was something that they liked doing, and they enjoyed it, and they would invest in deals, and they bought houses and apartment buildings and other commercial assets. And then as they got older and they wanted less headaches, they'd invested in passive deals and hard money loans and stuff like that. And time was on their side, and it turned into a really big, powerful thing. They never had to be a full-time real estate operator. They didn't have the time to it, and they didn't want to do that. And that story really resonated with me, especially since I talked to so many real estate investors, and all they want to do is they apologize to me that they're not full-time real estate investors. They're like, hey, can you do a loan for me? And they're apologizing. And I'm like, I'll tell you that the most successful real estate investors that I know are actually the ones that probably only do 4, 5, 6 deals a year, and they're the most profitable. Maybe not, it also define what success means, but the most profitable one, right? They don't have to do deals in order to deploy capital. They don't have to do deals to get paid. They have their comfort zone over here. So
right.
It's good to hear that that's what people like. And
right.
And if you want to be a full-time real estate investor, by all means. Ian's a great operator of real estate. I'm a crappy operator in real estate. I'm great at lending money, and so we can play off each other.
Right. And I think it's important to note, and I've always been a firm believer in this: do something you enjoy. I think it's why we're seeing in this moment of this great resignation. It's like there is a huge opportunity. There's opportunity out there. The last thing you want is to spend 35 years hating your life, hating what you're doing, right? So find that thing that drives you and then build on that. For us, it just so happens to be real estate now, but the driving factor, the mission is where the focus is, and then all of the, in the weeds drama that is difficult about business, you're willing to do because the mission is greater than the challenge.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I do have to ask you, you come from a successful background, right? You probably have all these deals thrown in front of you. You pick real estate. You took it because someone told you about it. Now that you're entrenched in real estate, why do you like real estate as the best investment vehicle out there? Or do you even think it's the best investment vehicle out there right now? Because, we are a very heavy real estate show. So I'd love to hear your opinion.
Look, the best real estate, or I should say the best investment is really based on, the person's goals. For me, and why I, fell in love with real estate was more because of what I was trying to accomplish as a skater, right? Like for us, the sponsors have all of the control of our future, right? They pay us. The second they can't make money from us or we're not relevant, the money goes away. And it's done at a young age, right? Like the typical skateboarders, pro skateboarders 18 to, let's say if you're lucky, 30. So these are the years that you're in wealth build mode, right? But we also are focused on cash flow because when those sponsors go away, we know that there's going to be some emotional kind of crap that we're going to have to work out, and the income is not going to be coming in. So what I really liked about real estate is I was able to grab both of those components where I can have a wealth build, I could have passive income coming in, and then on top of that, there was some tax efficiency. we were taxed up the wazoo. So I really liked those three components. And I think the last one is, for a skater, we're so, dependent on what happens, or we're trying to protect ourselves outside of our career ending or the retirement 2.0. And real estate offers a risk-adjusted return, right? It's a different type of risk than swinging for the fences with some, startup. And so that kind of fit the model in which I wanted to invest the majority of my money, but I was investing in other things, I was investing in things other than real estate. Real estate was just the one that I felt comfortable putting the, gas behind.
Yeah, we do the same thing, right? Like, obviously, like Jason, or maybe not obviously, but Jason said, I'm the operator, he's a better lender, but then every once in a while, I'd be like, hey, I got this angel deal, and we'll take a look at it. We're not going to put the same money we would put into real estate, but yeah, we'll take a look at it and play around with it. You bring up a great point of, like, you got to find something that you like to build your nest egg around that ultimately makes you secure long term. I really do resonate with you. And in general, from my career to your career, while they're totally different, military, police, anybody, your career could be over tomorrow. Really, any job. Everyone thinks work 30 years and you're good to go. So I think that's an awesome point that you bring to everybody's attention. I do want to ask you, since we were talking about real estate being the best asset class inside of real estate, is there one asset class that you prefer over others? I know you got some storage and some multis. Is there something that you like better than the other, or is it a con?
Yes. Well, look, I do have a bias, right? Like, we're heavily in storage and multifamily. I'll tell you the reasons why I like both of them. I like storage. One, it acts great during recessions. In my perspective, in real estate, it's one of the most recession resilient asset classes. I love that. I love the cost to build. It's cheaper. It can be a cash machine. And it really lends to the human behavior side of us, which is, I don't want to get rid of my crap. And storage has been really good to me over the years. So I really like storage. The thing that is challenging with storage is it's not that sexy. It's not that exciting. And being a skater, being more of a creative and, focusing on experience and vision, I feel like I can capture more of that interest in multifamily, because you're building homes or a place for people to live, which is such a big experience play. So, I do like how multifamily, of course, reacted during 2008 during recession, performs well, but I like the experience side of it. Other than those two asset classes, mobile homes are on frickin' fire. I don't have any exposure to them, but they're doing crazy. We're getting into co-living, actually. We're starting to build out our first co-living apartment. Really, really starting to like that model as well.
It must be one of those leftover things. You're going to have to fill me in on that co-living thing later. But
right.
Just for a quick, brief background, what's co-living? Is it exactly what it sounds like? Shared housing?
Right. It's basically, one, it only works in certain areas. You kind of touched on that. But talking about California specifically, we're outpricing everyone. And so you have like a 21 to 29-year-old who's moving to, like, let's say Santa Monica to be a part of the tech boom, and there's nothing to offer for the modern day renter. And so what this does is you basically build these things 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom units. You tie the lease to the bedroom as opposed to the unit. So if anyone leaves, it doesn't jam you up like it did when we were kids renting. And then they come fully furnished. They come serviced. They don't pay utilities. They don't pay Wi-Fi. They just pay a flat fee. And that flat fee is a steep discount in comparison to what the market offers. So you're hitting an affordability issue. We're maximizing, rentable square feet, which gives us, a scenario where in California where cap rates are compressed and they don't cash flow, they can actually cash flow. And so that's actually our newest model that we're starting to put some a lot of attention towards.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you're right. Just California, DC area where we're at, it's hard to find opportunities. And that's why, a lot of investors have ventured into the Midwest or in the South for storage in order to try to, get something else going, because you're just getting squeezed. But right. No, that's an interesting concept. So your company, it's Commune Capital, right?
Let me ask you guys real quick. What
Sure.
type of storage? What type of storage is your favorite? Or sorry, what type of real estate is your favorite?
Well,
you go ahead, then I'll go ahead, Ian. Go ahead first.
So, me personally, we're opportunistic investors. We have everything from single family to storage, commercial. We have some larger apartment buildings. And honestly, I don't know if it's because we're blinded by the light, but right now, industrial / storage is really our favorite. We've done the whole residential thing. I say I'm in the bluest state in America, but you guys might have a seat. But just from a residential side of things, what I dealt with over Corona, it's been eye-opening on the industrial / storage side of things. We've just had a lot of success. To us, it's about opportunity and the conduits, and it's more of a business, forward-facing business. That's why I've really been into storage recently. A lot of fun things that you don't get to do in residential real estate. Like we can't do those co-living things here. Rooming houses here just don't have the same notion to what you have that I would end up in a mess. But that's more of a business than just what we do on a residential real estate side. So right now, for me, our hot asset class is storage, 100%.
And industrial.
Yep.
Industrial's sick. I do like industrial as well. He's our lender, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a
I already know the answer
for,
to this question. I like to lend, and that's it. Ready?
So we sold the majority of our real estate right after COVID hit, and it was already, the portfolio was already stacked, ready to go. So it wasn't because of COVID. And if I didn't sell it, then it would have been up 40%. But again, I still am not kicking myself in the head because we used all the money from it and we put it right back into lending out. So I'm all about kind of net bottom line. Right. My returns, number one, aren't leveraged, right? So my returns are a lot less than everybody else, but they're also on good assets. We do about, 250 or so loans every year, and we had about $40 million deployed. A good bit of it's still private capital investors, no banks, no institutions, no leverage, no nothing. So it's all private capital that we raised between 2007 and about 2012. And over the years, we've put quite a bit of our own funds, my business partner and myself, back in. That's the game plan. Not necessarily to be self-funded, but to have as much of our own funds in it. And, just like any other business venture, you see your bottom lines growing. And I mean, we're, around here, and this probably seems high. It's actually high around here, our terms, but it's for California, it's way high. We lend out at 13% 3 points. And, that, obviously there's a lot of institutional backed capital in this space right now, but even the non-institutional backed capital, I'm guessing in your neck of the woods is probably like a 10-1 or a 10-2 type of thing.
Right, and even that's getting hard to sell right now for us. Everything's compressing on the lend. Yeah.
So again, my entire business model is upfront marketing. That's all we do. We're to close 20 loans a month. I got to get about 1,000 applications and 1,000 increase, and obviously we have a team to do so along with myself, and I have a few offices kind of around the area. But that's my model is lending. I recognize that, my personal capital, I try to get about a 14 to 15% return on in order to double that every 5 years. That's typically rule of 72. That's typically the way that we operate. I'm definitely slow and steady wins the race, and not just like super leverage, super momentum. I have the ability to do tons and tons. We have a very big book of capital. Our capital has never been deployed in years, like as much as we have, but it's just finding good opportunities. It's hard to find deals, right? And that's what it is. The capital, and this is so hard for people to hear, but in my world, capital grows a lot faster than deals grow, right? I'm always like Ian's trying to do a capital raise, but capital for these types of deals, not necessarily those. So my main focus, the majority of our capital is in hard money lending, but I've got money in a lot of Ian storage deals, some multifamily stuff, some commercial stuff, and some other stuff on the passive side. So we sold everything that we were the active investor on, and we became passive investors in everything else. And again, if ideally we'll continue to kind of grow that path, and it's not a this path, it's a this path. And I can't really see my hand. It's a slow and steady path, and but still slow and steady. Listen, I mean, you remember where you were 10 years ago, right? Like it wasn't that long ago, right?
Look, I'm a big believer in everything you just said. I really am. I do believe in slow and steady wins the race. I recognize the importance of eliminating the equity risk and how valuable that is on lending. And a lot of the big dogs, they like lending. They want the passive income. In our experience, It's been actually easier to raise capital on the lending side. And then
100%.
like you, we have a lot of
100%.
investors that started off active, and as they got older, they ended up moving into a passive role. I hear you, big dog. I love that.
I've never to this day hit a home run. I hit singles every day. Right. And that's the world that I live in. Like, I would like to be able to get in a position where I could hit, doubles. I mean, in order for me to hit a double, I have to do like a large, I've done some, $2-3 million loans. But like that doesn't happen that much. Every day I close on a $180,000 loan every day. Every day inside our company, we close on a $180,000 loan. I get paid off on a $180,000 loan. So our portfolio has stayed the same forever, and that's not a bad thing. Like that's like because what happens is just because our portfolio stays the same doesn't mean that our net profit doesn't increase. Right? More of our own company capital and our own personal capital gets put into that. There's other ways to trim fat. So there's other, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But also here's the other thing. Hard money lending is not sexy for anyone. It's super sexy for me, but it's not, I can't go around town and be like, oh, I own this building, and this building.
Right.
I mean, that's something I do want to ask. We're talking about singles, doubles. We've been talking about some personal finance stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of guys out here, and I watched it around the kitchen table at the firehouse. You're talking about guys always just trying to crack one. I got this lead on this. Buy this stock. We're gonna make $1,000 today, and we're gonna retire tomorrow. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, it's a long game, right? Like, that's what we're all in this for. I know you had some stuff talking about cryptocurrency and things like that, but like, where are you guys hitting? We know where to hit singles. Where are you hitting doubles or triples? Are you not worried about it? And also, what's your kind of feeling on cryptocurrency? Well, I got you here.
Okay.
Sorry, I know it's a loaded question.
We'll start with crypto. This is going to be a long one.
Go on.
I actually like crypto. I like what I see crypto becoming, and the problem, or maybe even better, the concern that I see it filling. I'm rooting for the mission behind crypto. With that said, in my perspective, it is still so volatile. And I think whenever you sell something with the idea that you can put $5,000 in and make $43 billion and retire, you're selling a lottery ticket. And that is scary to me. The lotto idea is scary. But I really want crypto to win. I think it's actually really similar to the dot-com bubble or the dot-com movement. Everybody recognizes that it's the future. We all do. I don't know which coin or what is going to win. And so in that, I recognize that there's way more risk. And so I invest very, very little into those super speculative asset classes. Other people invest in crypto the way we invest in real estate.
Right.
Not the way I would go about it. But look, if you're aware of the risk and you are comfortable with that risk, then do your thing.
Dude, I have the exact same philosophy. Same thing. So my business partner said something interesting. He goes, listen, a lot of my friends, they'll go throw down money on football and they'll sports gamble. He goes, it's over after that. You're not making a ton of money on this. I'd rather spend that $1,000 and gamble on, whatever, Doge or whatever. And yeah, we typically I put in about $2,000 a month, $2,000 to $3,000 a month in crypto. And, I'd like to just put it into Bitcoin and Ether, but it doesn't happen like that. So there's a lot of different altcoins, and whatever. Someone's like, how much do you have in crypto? It's like, well, it depends on the freaking day. Like it could be here, it could be here. Like it's been up here before, but everything with crypto has gone down a lot over the last, few weeks. But definitely the whole psychology of money kicks in with crypto, related to that. Right. Like it really does. Like it's, there's the fear of missing out, because, if you go back and you look where crypto was, and the first time I bought crypto was probably a year ago. But if you go back a year ago, more, and then you look at the returns there are today, like every single one of them, at least the popular ones like the Coinbases and the, you know, the not some of the other stuff, but the mainstream ones, I should say. So in my mind, similar to yours, it's like, hey, let's just keep playing small bets and hope one of them wins.
Right. And I think it's important to note, like, because, you know, for you, investing $2,000, $3,000 a month, you know, I'm guessing that's money that you can afford to lose, right?
Sure.
For somebody, that might be a lot of money. So just remember that the dollar amount is, you know, in comparison to what you can afford to lose, and that might be different for the person. But I hear you, dude. The tulip mania type of energy, that scares me, dude. That it feels 2008-ish, and I don't like that. But I understand the opportunity, and I like it. So I participate. I just don't put any money in that I'm not totally all good saying goodbye to.
Yep, you have to 100% let it go to zero. I've been deep on the tokenization of real estate. You know, like for syndications, running it through a token. That's really where I've been on that. But yeah, man.
And then I think, Ian, to answer your question on the singles and doubles, as a business philosophy, what we do in real estate, we're looking for opportunity where we can possibly hit a double, even a triple. But when we're doing so, we stress test the crap out of this thing to make sure that if all hell breaks loose, we can still hit that single. So I would say base case, we try to hit a double. Stress test, we end up with a single. All things just happen to line up, which they very, very rarely do. We can hit a triple.
Yeah, we're all in the if business, right?
Right.
If,
Right. That's the only thing we can guarantee, that there's going to be some variables and ifs along the way. That's
if this happens and that happens, and if everything goes exactly right, we might make some money. Well, with that being said, you know, guys, we've been going for about a half hour now. We're going to be respectful of Mikey's time, but we have a few other questions. If you guys got any questions, drop them in the comments below, and we'll get them out there. One thing I do want to ask you, you know, you did get to live out your dream of skateboarding, right? Like childhood dream. That's badass. Presumably you're probably living out your dream by investing in real estate, running businesses. What advice would you give your younger self? Granted, you started skateboarding at 13, but anywhere along that line, is there any advice that you give yourself through this journey if you could go back?
Yeah, for me, it would probably be two things. Like, my personality is, let me take a step back. My love language is words of affirmation, right? I feel good when people tell me I'm great. And that can be dangerous. And so, you know, as a kid, especially moving into an industry that is so highly praised, I put a lot of attention on what people thought of me, and the decisions I made, you know, what others thought definitely influenced those decisions when I was younger. Took me a while to get to the point of going, this is a dangerous game. You need to do what you want to do and stop worrying about, you know, the impact of others. And then that changed everything. So I think I would have told myself a little bit earlier, be comfortable with yourself. You know, don't worry if other people like or don't like you. Just stay true to you and stay course. That probably would have been important for me.
I mean, dude, that's a tough thing to do anywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter what your love language is or your personality type, man. It's just, then again, there's guys in the gym that walk around and like, I'm like, yo, how do you do that, man? Like, I know what I look like, and you're wearing what?
Right. And then I think the other one too, real quick, would probably be, I grew up with this idea that, you know, I just need to work hard and hard work. It took me a while to realize the importance of delegation and learning how to put people in place. And if you can't put people in place, you will never grow anything. If I could have beat that into 18-year-old Mikey head, I would have skipped some levels on that.
Yeah, and that part's hard because we always talk about this related to maturity levels, and especially when you're hiring employees that, you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, a lot of people might not mature until they turn 30 years old to their late 20s. And, you know, it's just part of it. Like, you have to learn yourself. Like, this person over here could tell you 10 times that this is not going to work. But until you go out there and, you know, you fall and hit your head, like, the hard way, you don't learn. And that's just part of it. What's your average day look like? You know, are your days all the same? I mean, I know you do. And the reason I'm asking this question, obviously, is, you know, you're a full-time real estate investor, but you also have a lot of followings, and you do on on Insta and Facebook and stuff like that, and you're obviously doing a lot of content. Are you doing a lot of that stuff yourself? How is, like, what's your average day look like?
Okay, so I'm going to say this now. If you would have asked me yesterday, I would have told you I'm doing a pretty good job. I had a long conversation with Rob Dyrdek yesterday, who has like the efficiency of his life mastered, and now I feel like I'm blowing it. But I'm just going to say this. So basically, my mornings are spent pretty much with the kids. I let my wife sleep in a little bit. I wake up. I do a devotional in the morning. I wake up my son, who's about 20 months. We have a little, bro hang. Wake up the girls, and then I typically leave the house usually around 8:30 to 9. Come into the office 3 days a week. We have a team meeting from 9 to 10. And then from, 10 to 1, it's typically phone calls. A lot of it is around, relationships, bringing investment in on the capital side, or working with the marketing team on basically making sure the vision of the company's there. Midday, I usually have a meeting with my COO to go over just operations of the business. And then from 4 to 5 is usually me creating content. And then I try to get home. I try to get home between 5 and 6, have dinner with the family, spend some time with the girls, and then I'm out.
Yeah, I hear that try part, and it's always like, man, just one more thing. But
Right.
I mean, hey man, it sounds like you got your day pretty well planned out. Sounds like
you've accomplished all the high level stuff.
Yeah.
Right. You did the family stuff. You met with the team, investor capital, content.
But I will say this: this month has been the same freaking day over and over, and that has not been my. We're in the middle of a capital raise right now that we're getting ready to close. So for the first two and a half weeks of this month, it was phone calls, lunches, dinners, and pitching. And now we're in just freaking follow-up mode, which is the part I don't like. But it's all the texts and calls and emails to, get everybody in. So after this month, we'll go back to, more of the typical schedule. So my content game is falling off right now. Everything's kind of falling off because we got to get this capital in.
Yeah,
I understand. I mean, that's how you gotta. There's offense and defense, and
Right.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, offense to defense, real quick. How old are your girls?
My oldest is 9. My middle one is about to turn 7. Little guy is 20 months, and then my wife is pregnant now with number 4.
Oh well, congratulations!
Congrats, you got your hands filled.
Look, we set the business plan a while ago that it was 4, and we were just sticking to it,
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
Fours, I got 3 4s. I still feel like 2 is the magic number because you got 2 adults, 2 kids,
right.
1 each. We have 3, but as they get older, it gets a little bit easier when they become a little bit more self-sufficient.
So our goal was always 2 or 4, and when we decided for 4, we made a decision to gap the 2s. So our older 2 being close, when we threw 3rd online, dude, it was so easy. The 3 was like the easiest thing we've done because the 2 older girls are like their moms at this point. They just want to
That's right.
Help. Yeah.
Have you
Agreed.
spent any time with your older ones, like talking about any of these, money beliefs or how do you utilize cash and what to do with your savings and all this good stuff?
Yeah. So we're actually entering a really exciting time, I think, as a parent. We decided to pull our kids out of school during COVID. We've been homeschooling for the last year and a half, and my wife is definitely taking the brunt of it. But a lot of the stuff when it comes to like money or business, sales, marketing, I've had opportunities to kind of be the teacher, and so I have my kids now understanding how they make money, what money's used for. We did this thing about a month ago. Where we built a business for our kids and they sold these garland felt decor at this farmer's market. And so we went through the whole exercise of buying the product, building the product, packaging it, going there, having to sell it. They had to borrow money from mom and dad. They ended up selling out. They had to pay the bank back. It was awesome. Yeah. And so, just the other day, I'm in California, right? This place has been in Mass for 2 years, right? We went somewhere the other day and there was a sign on the thing, you have to wear a mask to enter the business. And my daughter looks at me and goes, Dad, why would they put a mask on the business? Why would they put that sign that says people can't enter if they don't have a mask? Isn't the purpose of a business to bring as many people in as possible so you can make as much money as possible? And I'm like, yo, my 9-year-old stepping up, like, yes.
Yeah.
So that was a cool opportunity to, talk about, what's going on, but more importantly, like what the purpose of a business is, and that your purpose is to stay in business. And we've got her thinking to the point where I think she's going to do some big things when she's older.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, and that's all the stuff that I think we all yearn for in school.
Right.
Jason is college educated. I wasn't. I presume you weren't, but either way, like whether you go to college or not, these are the things that we all should be learning and should have learned in school. I mean, I vaguely remember we went over checkbooks and balancing bank accounts in one of my math classes, but honestly, like the kids aren't getting that, and it's kind of scary, some of that stuff. And I look at it too. We're homeschooling also. And I look at the toy room, and I told my daughter the other night, my oldest one's 7, and I said to her, you know what we're going to do? We're going to inventory all your toys, and we're going to start selling them, and we're going to get some capital back, and then you can buy new toys, or we can figure out what to do with your money and work through it. But this is the time to instill these beliefs in our kids, and it's scary when you're super successful, how to treat your kids fairly, so they have that burn, want, and desire without messing them up and giving them everything they want,
Right. That's a really important one, right? Like when we're building business and we're having, I guess success on that level, how do you build these kids so that they can be, earners, leaders, make an impact, and not, follow the normal suit, which is money doesn't last 3 generations, right? My daughter not that long ago, she heard me on the phone with one of my partners talking about closing on a new apartment and buying it. And my daughter stops me and goes, Dad, don't buy an apartment. You're wasting your money. You're going to have less money. And so it was a perfect opportunity to go, no, there's a difference between spending and investing and walking her through the moment. So I guess for all parents watching this, opportunities are going to present themselves for you to basically educate. Take advantage of those opportunities. They'll bless these kids.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any books or podcasts that you listen, or would you read to your kids, like, or is there a podcast, like what's your go-to podcast, I guess ultimately is what I'm asking.
So I actually go on cycles. I'll have a cycle when I'm big on podcasts. I'll have a cycle when I'm big on books. And then I have a cycle where I don't want any noise and I just want to be in my thoughts. Right now, podcast is my thing. I've been listening a lot to, why am I blanking on his name? Ken McElroy's podcast.
Okay.
I really like him. I think he's solid. I listened to Michael Blanc on apartment building investment.
Yeah, he's local to us.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in Virginia.
He's in Northern Virginia. He's not far from us. Yep.
Right. So I'll stay on kind of some of the real estate focused podcasts. I really like George Gammon, who does The Rebel Capitalist.
Okay.
He kind of covers more macroeconomics. Enjoy listening to him. But dude, I'm going to be switching here. Deerdick dropped the new Dalio book on me. That I'm going to put a pause on podcast, get through that book in the next few weeks. It's pretty much just if you've read it, it's just kind of a shortcut of the, debt cycle or the last big.
Dude, it's so funny. It's the same thing. It's like, hop on Audible for a few months and bang out a few books. And then it's like, oh, I'm behind on podcasts. And then it's like, cool. Podcasts are either marketing related podcasts, Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels stuff, or whatever, marketing related. Is it real estate related? When I started doing some storage stuff, especially with Ian over the last 2 years, I didn't know much about storage. They didn't have many storage podcasts. So as some of that stuff's been coming, you jump into there. It's so interesting. And then sometimes, like, you're in the middle of a capital raise right now, you don't have an hour to listen, to think, because your mind's going to wander. And I mean, I've been in that same spot. Ian and I did a storage deal recently where we had to raise a good bit of money for it, and it was a little bit outside of my normal comfort zone. I couldn't just, take money from my lending company and be like, oh, here we go. Like, I had to legitimately work for it. I couldn't like concentrate on a book at that point. Like, I was in my head concentrating on, cool, well, if we structured this deal like this, if I structured it like this, if we give this investor, this pref, we retain this equity, whatever the case was. Like, that was my only focus. And then as soon as that was over, it was like, great, now I'm back to the podcast or the books. So that's funny that your kind of brain operates similarly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'd say I'm deep in. Rob's got me sucked in his damn funnel. I'm stuck on his podcast. I'm playing catch up.
Which one? The one with all his business owners, where they interview his business partners? No.
Yeah, his latest one. He sucked me in on the first one when he's going, I do it just like this, and this. I'm like, how are you so goddamn organized?
Right.
Dude. Well, his recent interview, I don't remember who it was with.
It was with Sam Parr.
Oh, was that the one? Like, God,
going in emails sent to his wife every morning with
dude. It's like, see, that's the stuff I like listening. I like when he's getting interviewed, not the other way around. And I'm like, jeez.
I do too.
He puts us all to shame.
I hope he doesn't kill me on this one. But I met Sam about a month ago. We were speaking at an event in Texas together. And he came up to me after I spoke on stage. He's like, yo, I just interviewed Rob. Like, I had no idea you skaters were like, doing your thing. I'm like, oh, sick. Thought nothing of it. The podcast drops, and I thought it was Rob. He was nailing it, right? So I was talking to him yesterday. I'm like, yo, that Sam Parr podcast was sick. And he goes, yo, for real, man? When the interview started, they thought I was just some like whatever skater. I had to like boss up, show them like what my business actually was. I was like, yes.
Dude, that's great.
But seriously though, most people don't realize how brilliant that dude is. Like most people are like, oh yeah, he's a skater and reality star. That dude is on another planet, and he's been on another planet as long as I've known him.
Yeah, when you talked about how like just the ridiculousness production, then to go and say, oh, you want me to produce? I'm going to go secure a badass contract so I can get the cost down. And he got a double whammy. I was like, damn, man, like what a brain. Like, that's insane.
I mean, ever since he kind of, had a show or had any content out there, years ago, cause, I've always been like, God, that dude is on a different planet. Pre-Fantasy Factory, pre-everything. And I mean, it's like, holy crap. And there's guys like that in different stuff. And I mean, Ian and I have a few friends locally that are professional athletes, and I always look at it as, hey, you were the top of your industry here. You could, for the most part, be anything and be your top of your industry. You really have the hardest part down. A lot of these guys can't necessarily wrap their brain around how to do it, right? Like they could with their trade. But they have the ability, they have the work ethic, they have their minds are strong enough to do that. And you put that to the right purpose, you're going to be successful in any way.
Is there any crossover tasks that you saw from like your skating days that you're like, I would go out, practice this, and now I practice something in your business every day? Or did you see any crossover?
Yeah, it's funny. Like Jason, what you just said, it so applies, but the crossover is really important. And I think it's more of the foundation, right? Like with anything like being a pro athlete, right? You have to be like the 1% of the 1%. You have to be better than everyone. You have to spend 10,000 plus hours. You have to be obsessed with your craft. And when things don't go your way, you have to remove that, keep pushing forward, right? That is very much like business, right? So, getting comfortable with failure and getting comfortable in a chaotic situation, that definitely plays with business. Business always feels chaotic. It always feels like it's falling apart. You got to maintain that and stay forward or keep pushing forward. The hard thing, and this is kind of what Jason kind of just alluded to, we understand how to be obsessed with our craft. But, as a skateboarder, my craft was just me. I didn't have to go build a team. I didn't have to understand organization. With football, baseball, basketball, they already have the team organization already created. They're just dropped in the organization, and they still just have to maintain their craft. The hard thing with business, it's not just let me perfect and do my thing. It's more of a how do I build this organization around me from the floor? That you have to have some education component to. Once an athlete understands that, they're going to be a freaking savage. Or if they're, not an entrepreneur, maybe an intrapreneur, you can plug them into the organization. They are going to destroy it. you've got to kind of show them the path or what game they're going to be playing, and then
good.
they'll have the tools to succeed.
Yeah, that's true. So my younger brother's a professional golfer. I've got, Ian and I have some really good friends that are ex-NFL players locally, and they want to do other things, and they just can't wrap their brain around it. They're capable of doing it. They're all capable of it. I was like, you guys were already super successful in what you did. You did the hard work. And I mean, just like anything else, like the best way to help somebody is for them to have an epiphany or their aha moment. I can't tell you what to do. You're not going to do it, but I can, help you have that aha moment of shit. It was easy the whole time. That's so funny.
I work with a lot of athletes still. We have a lot of athletes that are investors. The how do I help position people to succeed afterward? That's a passion for me. So we talk a lot about it.
Yeah, I definitely
so true.
Especially being in the fire service, I look at all these guys just relying on their pension. I'm like, come on, man, you got to do something else. Please, just listen just a little bit. But is there anything that we didn't cover, or where's the best place people can find you online and they want to learn more about you, invest with you, check it out? Where's the best place to find you?
Okay, if you want to find me or anything I'm doing, just search my name, Mikey Taylor. I'll pop up on all the platforms. Our company is Commune Capital. You're interested or wanting to hear what we do, communecapital.com. You can see where we put our money, and we allow opportunity for people to put their money with ours in real estate deals. Anything we missed? I don't know. We covered a lot there.
Yeah, I
think we covered a lot.
1980 to 2021, real quick, right?
Right.
The 80s,
Right.
90s. Yeah. So.
Right.
No, but we appreciate you coming on and talking. This was the podcast that almost didn't happen like 7 times, and I'm glad we finally got to do it.
I appreciate you guys being patient with me. I appreciate you guys having me on.
No,
Thank you.
All good. We appreciate you. Definitely. Thanks for taking the time. I know around the holidays everyone gets a little bit busy, but I'm glad we're able to work it out. So again, thanks so much. If anyone wants to reach out to Mikey, he left his info, and we'll put it in the comment section as well. But like he said, I mean, just search his name on any social platform, and you'll be able to find him. Thanks again, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too.